Welcome back, everyone, to the Produce Industry Show. New setup, new format, and a lot of fun. I can tell you that right now. We are live in Winter Haven, Florida, and we're not just at any packing house. We are at Noble Citrus, and guess what? For over 95 years, this packing house has been around. So where I'm standing is a bit of Florida history, or where I'm sitting is Florida history. We got some Starburst Pomelos with us. We have Quentin Rowe and Dan Avakian. So, gents, welcome to this live stream, guys.
Thank you, Patrick. Great to be here.
I'm excited y'all came. This is fun.
Listen, there's nothing better than talking citrus.
All day long. That's what this business is about.
Let's be real here. I always bring this up. We have California that just started. We got Florida that's going. Texas is coming next. I always tell everybody, I'm a citrus guy.
Get your juices flowing.
Right? I got to get the juices flowing, man. So this is what's cool about this now. When we visited a few weeks ago, we were out in the fields.
We were. We got the first of the harvest, and now we're into it. We're into the peak of the pomelo season right now, approaching the 1st of November, and this fruit is just absolutely amazing right now.
I think so.
It'll be like this as we move through this crop. It'll be like this all the way through Christmas.
I'll tell you what, from 2 weeks ago from today, the taste profile is completely different.
It has. So the characteristics of Florida weather, we're in a subtropical climate. The key for dropping acid is time and temperature. So you
Okay, you heard it here.
Listen, the key is to drop a little bit of acid, okay?
I didn't mean like that. Okay, that's out of there. These California guys, I tell you what.
Colors, man.
Oh my gosh.
Colors.
Okay, we're off the acid.
Back to citrus, everyone. Back to citrus.
Citrus acid. Okay, the key to improving ratio, which is the combination of acid versus bricks, right?
And if you go back to our Florida Pomelo Grove tour, we do explain to you how to get the bricks, how to get the acid, and that sugar portfolio. So,
and that's what bricks is, folks. For you who don't know, bricks is sugar measurement.
So back to acid. Acid drops with time and temperature. So you're several weeks later.
Gotcha.
We've had warm temperatures,
okay,
and the acid is dropping out of the fruit. And that's true for every variety from the time it blooms in March until it comes off the tree whenever it's dead ripe. It's moving through this process, and the acid is slowly breaking down.
You're 100% right. I mean, even California citrus, right? Dan, you and me in California, even though I'm here in Florida now, we started California navels.
Yeah.
And I know there's certain requirements, not anymore for the USDA for bricks, but customers, right? Those customers are like, sure, I want less than 1.1% acid. I want 10 plus bricks. And it's like, okay, I'll give you my first son while we're at it too. I mean, it's just what it is. But that acid right off, even in an early navel, an early pomelo coming off the tree, you're right. There's that acid taste. And what did I tell you when we were downstairs? I said, this tastes completely different than what it was 2 weeks ago. It has sweetened up. You could smell it. Like this room smells like Starburst Pomelos right now. So, what can we expect? I know that the Florida pomelo season doesn't go all year long.
No, for Florida, one of the neat things about our Florida subtropical climate is we're going to come in before California. So California grows pomelos, Florida grows pomelos.
Okay.
We're going to come in 3 months ahead. On some varieties, it's only 3 weeks. But on these pomelos, it's about 3 months before California gets to the same flavor profile that we're having right now.
So they extend the season.
Exactly correct.
Absolutely.
And frankly, the California pomelo, they would like to pick it right now, but it's a dark green piece of fruit. Okay,
and they're already in the stores. I've already
seen it. And it tastes nothing like this, and it's got a peel that thick. But by the time they get to January, that peel will have thinned out because the fruit will have expanded inside. Their natural fruit color will turn to a yellow, and they will have a really good, a much better eating piece of fruit in January, February, March.
Now, I will say, you do have to sprinkle a little sugar on that California pomelo. I will tell you
that.
No
sugar needed here.
I have not. I'll tell everybody, I'm not a grapefruit fan. I told it to Quentin as soon as I came. He's like, well, you're not going to say anything bad about the grapefruit. I said, well, we're going to taste it to find out. It's actually a pretty good piece of fruit.
Oh, no, the new grapefruit varieties,
you
can't beat them. It's a whole different world.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, we talked about in the car ride up about, back in the days. I say back in the days. And everybody, you say back in the days, is completely different for all of us. Back in the days of my son is 2009. Back in the days for me would be the 80s and the 90s. And back in the days for you, Jets, would be the 70s.
Yeah.
I said the 70s. I'm just saying it that way.
70s were a good year.
Yes,
we
know the dropping acid.
We're dropping acid. But if you go back, like I said, I mean, there wasn't this red blood-looking grapefruit that you see.
No, you had the marsh ruby, and then you had whatever the white varieties.
Yeah, a white marsh seedless.
There you go.
I don't like those. I'll be real with you. I don't know what to do with it. It looks at me funny when you cut it open. It doesn't sit right with me. I feel like it's like Sprite or something, right? It's just a different animal.
But it was the early 80s when those newer varieties came after that Texas freeze, that first Texas freeze. As far as Florida, I'm not quite sure.
We were same. So those new dark red varieties were hitting Texas and Florida at the same time. And California jumped on that bandwagon not very long after that.
That's right. Yeah, they sure did.
So down the Imperial Valley, you got a lot of that. But, grapefruit, we're not talking about grapefruit. We're talking about pomelos.
Pomelos.
Yes. And I'm remiss if I don't say to everybody that's listening, a pomelo has the look of a giant grapefruit I'm not going to say steroids, has the look of a giant grapefruit, but it does not taste anything like a grapefruit. So you look at it, you cut it.
It's its own flavor.
It is a unique flavor, unique high notes. The flavor profile is so special compared to the grapefruit.
And as I was saying to you in the packing house, this pomelo, because all my produce life has been in California, so I never had a Florida pomelo until we cut one in the packing house earlier, and I've never had a juicier pomelo in my life. Folks, pomelos are great, okay, and the meat is usually very dense, very sweet, very tasty, but there's not a lot of juice. There's enough. It's good.
There's enough to squeeze a few ounces.
Not even that.
I've tried it.
But with this Florida pomelo, whole different story. You have everything that the California has, but you've got a ton of juice in there as well. Yeah. It's a very incredible eating experience.
Well, it went from obviously a piece of fruit that people, like I said, when you looked at grapefruit, go back in the days, if you had diabetes, if you had certain blood pressure medicine, you were out.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember back in the days, grocery stores, some wouldn't carry grapefruit or pomelos or these types because they were like, our demographics doesn't want that.
Right.
Now, there's grapefruit, there's pomelos. It's as soon as they're in season, these things are on the shelf. And I would say, look at them. They got a little bit of an appetite on them. They've got to be eating up the nutrients and the water and what you're putting in them because you're feeding these things Wheaties every day.
Well, they're kind of like the Great Dane of citrus.
There you go.
If you've ever raised a Great Dane dog, they go really, really quick, okay? And they get huge, right?
Right.
But like Great Danes, unfortunately, they don't have a great life expectancy. So when these trees get to be 10 or 12 years old, they start to collapse.
Oh, they're done.
So we start getting production at about year 3. And so we're only playing with this thing for about 7-8 years, and then the trees collapse and you have to start all over again. So it's different from grapefruit, which, 25, 30 years of production, or oranges or any other variety. These are I hate to say it again, but they're very much like Great Danes.
No, so
interesting.
When you have to retire the trees, do you have new grows on different land, or do you do it right in the same spot?
We go in the same spot, and
really? And you just replant in that same spot.
Exactly correct. If there haven't been any real changes in irrigation technology, or a need for a rootstock that requires closer or further apart setting or something like that, we'll go right back into the same settings. So we'll push it. It'll lie fallow for 6 or 8 months. We'll deep plow it to make sure that any roots or anything like that are cut, dead, gone.
Got it.
And then we'll come back in with the new planting.
How many years though? Like, or is it months process? Like the corn crop, you flip it and you get it, replanted within the next months. In California, Dan, you know this in the Central Valley, everyone. A lot of times when we do pull trees, we will leave them for a season. We'll let that dirt get the nutrients back into it, because a lot of times in California we have 200-plus-year-old citrus groves out there, as you do here, right? Yeah. And the nutrients, the soil, it's sucked out of it, everyone. So a lot of times when we do pull trees, we'll ground it, we'll till it, and we'll keep it going, for a year before we plant anything else. Is that kind of the same process or a little different?
It's about a 12-month process.
So 12 months.
All citrus varieties in Florida are going to, everywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, are going to bloom in March, right?
Okay. They do. So I love my citrus bloom.
But it's a matter of when they come off the tree. So like pomelos are going to come off the tree in that fall window. So late September, October, November, December, right? I contrast that to a Valencia. It bloomed the same time. It's not coming off the tree until 15 months later.
Yep.
So
yes,
makes sense.
Right.
So pomelos come really quick. Once again, that whole Great Dane thing, right?
Yep.
When we have to do that changeover of trees at the end of a growth life, what we'll do is we're done picking in December. We'll push the trees in December, January. We'll let that land lie fallow, and we'll plant the following spring.
Okay, got it. And then you'll produce fruit, like you said, within how many months after that? You said within
36 months.
So 36 months. Same thing with the California. It takes almost 3 years to bear fruit off the tree. Obviously, a mandarin tree, very different. A natal tree. When you see these trees, about what? You're looking in 3 years, they're going to be how tall?
6, 7, 8 feet.
And then how many fruit per tree you're looking in that time frame? Like in the first year's crop, like what would a fruit bear? A fruit bear. A tree. How much fruit would the tree bear?
So we really won't hit peak production until year 5 or year 6, and that's probably the easiest way to say it.
Okay, makes sense.
You're gonna spend the first 3 years just growing a tree, then you're gonna start growing fruit, and you're gonna hit your peak production year 5, year 6, and then that's what you got to year 12 if you're really happy and lucky.
It's interesting because the general public who goes to U-Pick farms and things like that, imagine these big giant trees and people with ladders going up in the trees to picking the fruit, and it used to be that way. But today the trees, like you said, are 6 feet tall and how wide, and they just keep the trees small so that the harvesting is easier and you're not climbing.
But we saw those huge trees in California. I know there's plenty of blocks that you see these.
Yeah, the heirloom maples.
Oh my God! They're climbing up 20 foot
down in Terrabella.
Yeah, 20 foot plus trees. You know what I mean? So I agree. Well, Quentin, we know from the last video that these will be out till January.
Correct.
Right. So we've got this prime season right now with Florida Starburst pomelos. Everyone, remember they're not grapefruit. And this is a proprietary brand by Noble Citrus as well. So what do we expect? What's coming down the pipeline? Because as we said, there's not just Florida pomelos. We can't be handpicking these the whole year.
So the next exciting variety that's going to start is going to be mid-November, and it's the Autumn Honey. And this piece of fruit has just got amazing flavor to it. It's going to be a deep orange. Later in the season, it'll almost move towards a red. Easy to peel, zipper skin, hands completely clean, low acid, high bricks. Your ratios are up in the mid-20s. So when you start, your ratios are in the mid-20s. It is an incredible eating piece of fruit.
And this is a new variety. We're talking about tangerines now, not
Starburst pomelos to tangerines. Noble Citrus does many different varieties.
So this is a proprietary variety that our family started developing 35 years ago. Beautiful. It's been a long time in the making, and we've got several of those varieties. The Autumn Honey is the next one. The one after that is our crown jewel. It's called Juicy Crunch. Patrick has been there with the Juicy Crunch, and it's amazing. He still drools.
I love my citrus.
He loves the citrus.
Listen, I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of a Golden Nugget. I'll be real with you, but I'm a fan of a Juicy Crunch, baby. Sorry, Golden Nugget lovers.
No, that's a late season. That's kind of
A transition mandarin. It's a transition mandarin. Yeah,
but
exactly.
Back to these autumn
honeys.
So our regular honey tangerine that we would get in California from Florida.
Correct.
Yes.
Over the years. So I was only familiar with an order that we used to have, which was sunburst or fall glow. I can't remember which one was first.
Sunburst, honey.
Yeah, right. Then honey. But that honey, there was problems with that honey after all these years.
It was decades of wonderful. And we have this disease in Florida now called greening. And it's citrus greening, and it started in China, and it's moved its way all the way. Oh, it sounds like something else. Anyway, it's a tree killer. It's spread by an insect called the psyllid. And when a psyllid moves into your area and they've got the disease in them, it's one bite, one dead tree. Okay, the trees take a long time to collapse, and if you have a lot of value in the fruit, like a pomelo or a tangerine, you can give the tree enough nutrients, enough of the stuff that will make the tree grow normally. But if you can't afford that, if you're growing a commodity like an orange, it's a really tough go.
One bite, everyone knows the rules. Yeah. It's out.
And that psyllid's been around for quite some time. Oh, I remember reading about it years ago.
Yes,
as long as I've been around. I mean, seriously, I know it sounds crazy. I'm not a young guy, but 30 years, I mean, since I've been in this industry, that's what the industry has been facing.
We've known it's coming. So it got to Florida in like 2005, 6, something like that. So we've been 15 years here fighting this plague. A lot of good research, a lot of new things coming out, a lot of new tools in the toolbox, as we like to say, but it's still a hard fight. We used to sprayer groves 2 or 3 times a year and fertilize them, and they grew fruit, right?
Right. Yeah.
Life was fun. Now it's like row crop farming 365 for the rest of your life.
It's
intense.
A lot different, everyone. All the stress and issues that farmers have to deal with. I mean, Quentin and the family of the Rowe family, they're not just packers, right? They own the farmland. So they have to deal with these things. HLB stands for the Hong Long Bing.
Yep.
And, it is a pest, a disease, right, that will kill the citrus trees. And, what's interesting is we went to Ybor City yesterday, and we went on a cigar tour, and a crazy comment that came up is the gentleman said, well, did you know we don't do citrus in Florida anymore? And I said, who?
Yeah, I guess he hasn't been to the Indian River. I mean, that's the first thing I thought.
But it's so funny because we were like, no, man, there's citrus being planted every year. He goes, no, that disease killed everything. Oh, they barely, and then he said, people barely drink orange juice anymore from Florida. It's all imported. And I'm just sitting here going, it just shows that a lot of the consumers, the community out there might not know that the Rowe family is planting new trees every year, right? It might not be your normal Florida orange, right? A Hamlin, right? Or a Valencia or a Midnight, but it is now the Juicy Crunch.
Yes.
It's the Starburst Pomelos. It's these autumn honeys. They're not, they can still get the disease. They can still get this, right? But if we just give up and say the disease is taken over, none of you would have citrus.
The thing is, yes, and out of that curse of the psyllid came this blessing of these newer varieties.
Yes,
you are
correct. Are resistant and taste really good.
Let's get excited again about these things, man. Like
we're planting hundreds of new acres a year right now, and that's part of this.
You hear that? So. Hundreds of acres a year, everyone. Hundreds of acres. We are planted, or I'm not planted. Quentin's they're planted in Florida.
That brings up a question, Quentin. What obsessed you to grow pomelos? And when did you start?
So that is a great story. I wish my brother Bill was here to tell the story, but he got one tree and started at his house with it. And we didn't. Bill, what are you doing? He's planting a menagerie of citrus trees out there.
Nice. That's
and
great.
It's still our citrus nursery at his house. We got 2 acres, and we play with everything that comes out. So he plants with one tree, and it gets to be about 3 years old. He calls his brothers, me and my brother. We're the third generation, right? And this is back like 97, 98, something like that. He says, Quentin, what do you think? So I'm the sales and marketing guy. He's the grower guy, and we're looking at this thing. Bill, we're doing great for you. What are we going to do with this?
This is a horrible idea.
Where does it fit? And he says, okay. Then he plants 5 more trees.
Nice.
Then he plants 10 trees. Then he plants 20 trees. And so 3 years later, we're out there looking, and he's got 20 trees. He's got his kids and my kids and some other neighborhood kids, and they're out there with 5-gallon buckets of water and then soap and then some wax. He says, come on, we got to send these.
We can do it.
I'm excited by this point, okay? This is real. I got this, okay? So we're sending it to some of our Asian customers up in New York City, and they're going, more. Give
me the Starburst.
So 5 acres, 10 acres, 100 acres, 200 acres.
Yeah.
It's
25 years later.
Yeah, it's happened organically as we've grown. I'll tell you the coolest thing. I'm going to peel this sticker real quick. That sticker says Florida Starburst Pomelo, and that Florida Starburst Pomelo was really the breakout from this being strictly going into the Asian communities.
Yep.
To going into every supermarket in the eastern United States. And that teaches the consumer right there on the fruit what you got. How to do it, what you're eating, and it's been a breakthrough.
And why hasn't anyone thought of that years ago?
It's insane. We got the Sheriff's Star, so when you come to Noble Citrus, you'll get the badge of approval. You'll get the Sheriff's Star when you leave. All the kids will get the Sheriff's Star, okay? It's a Florida Pomelo Star, but you will get it. So Quentin, it's been great to be here today. We've gotten to eat some citrus. We've cut it open. We are full of citrus right now. Trust me, we're just in the packing shed. We do quality checks when we come here, everyone. It's always about quality checks.
Yeah,
making sure is making sure that it's a good piece of fruit, everyone. So
don't forget the acid.
And we did drop a little acid. We
didn't have to squirt. That already dropped the acid. These are so sweet.
You guys killed me.
Oh, no. So, listen, everyone, it's been great being here at Noble Citrus. It's been fantastic to see the group here at Noble Citrus, see the pack line, and see these Florida Starbursts come from the grove to the packing house and then being shipped out on a truck.
Absolutely. Patrick, Quentin, thank you very much. Hey, folks, get your Florida pomelos right now in the stores. I'm Dan the Produce Man reminding you that it's always best when you get it fresh.
All right, everyone. We'll see you later.